What's up, guys? Welcome to Boxing Decades, and today I'm talking about the 3 reasons why Devin Haney outclassed George Kambosos in this last fight. So this fight was a rematch clause fight. Haney and Kambosos had already fought back in June, and this was Kambosos' redemption to try and beat Haney. Kambosos put up a good fight. Ultimately, Haney got the decision at the end of this fight, keeping his title as the undisputed lightweight champion of the world. So let's jump right into this. Number 1, Haney utilized his jab. Haney boxes on the outside, and he's able to keep the distance between him and Kambosos, and he effectively does this by using his jab. Haney isn't a power puncher. He's not going to stand there and brawl with somebody in the ring, especially Kambosos. He instead takes the Floyd Mayweather approach, which is essentially hit and don't get hit, a real stick and move approach. The jab is such an effective punch for fighters like Devin Haney, who have a longer reach. I mean, his body type is perfect for this style of fighting. So something that we can see Devin Haney doing throughout this fight is using the jab sort of as like a measuring stick between him and Kambosos. So you can see that he was trying to feel Kambosos out, as many fighters do in the first few rounds, seeing how they react to each other, their power, all of that. But you can see Haney throwing the jab out there, measuring to see how far he can keep Kambosos and still hit him without Kambosos actually coming in and countering Haney. He was able to keep pretty good distance throughout the majority of the fight. Obviously, some good footwork and head movement are mixed into that, but by using this jab, he was effectively getting the distance between him and Kambosos and keeping that. Literally, the art of boxing is hit and don't get hit. And I think a fundamental tactic of that is mastering the jab, which I think Haney has. Haney's plan wasn't to knock out George Kambosos. I mean, he can't do that anyway. And I think everybody knows Devin Haney's sort of style, but using it on a fighter like George Kambosos, who's not necessarily taller or have a longer reach, it's the perfect way to keep that aggressive fighter at bay, is by using the jab. The other beautiful thing about being able to throw a really good jab is setting up the right hand or, a combination of punches. The way this is done is using the jab almost as like a vision blocker. When you're standing in front of a guy and you're throwing that 1-2, right? When that jab lands, or let's say Haney's landing the jab in Kambosos' face, for that split second, you can't see. And when you throw the 1-2 in quick succession, you're landing the jab, and by the time this is coming back, this hand's already going out. This right hand from Haney's already going out. That's not enough time in between for Kambosos or any other fighter to really react. So throughout the fight, you can see Haney throwing that 1-2 combination in quick succession, and it did really well for him. Throwing that jab can also make a fighter go into a defensive mode. You have to understand, when you're in the guard, right, you have these big gloves on. It's covering basically all your peripheral vision. You have this small window that fighters can actually see through. So putting the jab out there and covering this little window, that's acting as a vision blocker. That's another way for fighters, or Haney in this instance, was making Kambosos, by throwing all these little jabs, making Kambosos put his guard up and then attacking that little window in the guard. Once that little window is blocked, he's able to come in and throw the other, maybe the hard right hand, or he's coming in with other combinations. Now, this helps because Haney has a very good jab. You can see that he took his time and actually mastered using this jab. Number 2 is Haney moved every time he got hit by Kambosos. Kambosos is definitely the harder puncher out of the two, and I think Haney's camp knew that coming into this fight. Kambosos also likes to throw these 4 to 5 punch flurries. So between the power and these flurries, which could become very disorienting for somebody who's getting constantly fucking punched, I mean, that's a problem that Haney needs to avoid. Haney did this by accomplishing a few things. 1, he had great head movement. Number 2, he had great footwork. And number 3, he was always on the move. Throughout this fight, you can see Haney constantly moving his head. He's constantly moving around. So if he feels a punch coming, he's already moving. And the second Haney did feel any sort of power or punch, or if George Kambosos is starting to flurry, Haney, like, his initial reaction was to get the fuck out of there. He just moved. Now, the reason why this is so effective is because George Kambosos, not only one, has the power, but he likes to throw these bigger flurries, the 4 to 5 punch flurries. If Haney gets tagged with one of those, moving out of the way, he's already out of George Kambosos' game plan. He's not standing there waiting for Kambosos to just unleash these flurries at him. He's feeling any sort of movement. He's seeing George come in. He's moving out of the way. He sees the punch coming in, or he feels the punch that he just got hit with, and he's gone. He's moving. He's not staying here waiting for Kambosos just to beat the shit out of him. because that's what would have happened. That's why Haney didn't stand there and brawl with him. So this tactic actually helped Haney avoid a lot of those power punches from Kambosos and making him miss. You can see a few times during the fight that Kambosos was trying to come in on the inside, getting ready to throw those flurries. You can see him anticipating coming in and just missing because Haney was already moving out of the way. Haney knew exactly what George Kambosos was about to do, and he avoided it. So obviously in the way boxing is scoring is Kambosos is missing and Haney's looking great in his defense. He's avoiding the attacks. He's not running away. He's just moving out of the way of the punches and he's avoiding these attacks. And he's also tagging Kambosos constantly with the jabs. Third and final reason is just ring generalship. So ring generalship is basically the fighter who's able to move around the ring well and basically control the action of the fight. Now, I think Kambosos was actually more of the aggressor in this fight. He kept coming forward. He was on the attack constantly. However, Haney was making Kambosos fight his fight. Haney was controlling the pace of the fight. George Kambosos kept coming in, trying to turn it into a brawl. Haney said, "No way. You're going to fight my fight." And he kept him at bay with the jab. He kept moving out of the way of Kambosos' strikes. And essentially this slowed down the attack of George Kambosos. If you watch any of George Kambosos' other fights, you can see that he likes to stand in the middle of the ring and brawl with these guys. Like I said, he throws these big flurries. He's a strong dude. And he's going to stand there and he'll hit you with whatever he's got constantly. He puts the pressure on. This put Haney in the situation where he had to keep him at bay, which he did masterfully. And this put Kambosos in sort of a chess match. He was trying to pinpoint the target. He was trying to get in on Haney, but the problem was the target kept moving. So Kambosos' game plan kind of fell apart, and this allowed Haney's game plan of stick and move, stay on the outside, hit him with the jab, try and get in those, that right hand or a few good combos, which he did, but ultimately it's to score the points, get out of the way, and make Kambosos fight Haney's fight, and that's exactly what he did. So Kambosos was left trying to figure out how to actually land these punches on Haney, which seemed like to me the entire fight. And this is exactly why Haney, I think, got that major point in ring generalship. I think he controlled the fight, regardless of Kambosos being the aggressor most of the fight. All in all, I think Kambosos is a great fighter, but Haney came with a game plan and he stuck to it, and you can see it worked out beautifully for him. I mean, he really came into this with a plan and did not stray from it, and it worked out in his favor. It goes to show you that power's in everything, and I mean, obviously boxing skill will win a boxing match, even against a guy who can hit harder than you and possibly knock you out. That's it. That's what I got for you guys. Those are the 3 reasons why I think Haney outclassed Kambosos. If you like this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel because I'm trying to grow my audience, my subscriber base. If you agreed with me or you disagreed with me, put a comment below. And I love to hear what anybody thinks about boxing. I love talking about boxing. So go ahead and leave a comment. And as always, thank you for watching.